Hey guys, and welcome back to this video. Now in this particular video I'm gonna quickly show you about what exactly the CSS is and how this can be able to perform some couple of more operations with HTML. Okay, now let's start with this. Okay, at the end of the day you are not going to be just using black text and white page at the just using HTML. You need to just design those particular things, right? You might be see that there are a couple of websites which are looks pretty fantastic at the end, and just like you wanted to just scroll it out, and like YouTube, like Facebook and all other things. So you might be see those kind of websites. So CSS will help you to bring your HTML code into a pretty fantastic web designing app or web app. Okay, you can create a web pages with fully fantastic designs. You can arrange animations, you can arrange some colors, text, and all other things that you wanted to do with your web page. So what exactly the CSS stands for? As you can see on the screen, it is stand for cascading style sheet. Okay, there are a couple of things like SCSS, SAS, and couple of things are actually presented inside a CSS. But at the end of the day, this CSS is the basic part of it. Okay, okay, there are a couple of things like a bootstrap, tailwind CSS, and all other things. You might be heard that, hey, why I'm loading the CSS, whether it's bootstrap is presented, whether tailwind CSS is presented. Okay, CSS is the basic grasp. Okay, if you don't learn the CSS and you just wanted to jump onto the bootstrap or tailwind CSS or any other thing, you are going to be confused at that point. Okay, because CSS is a ground up, like you are trying to create a mobile app but you don't want to learn any programming language. How this can be possible, right? Okay, and those particular things are present inside it. Okay, now let's understand the CSS. What exactly the three it stand there? Okay, CSS has the version of 3. So CSS has CSS 3 version, and I don't think the fourth version are coming up inside the CSS, but maybe in future it will come. I don't know. Let's go to the next slide and let's see how this performs. Okay, what exactly the types of CSS? How we gonna add the CSS onto the HTML? Now that's the big question, right? You might be seeing that, hey, there are a couple of ways like inline, internal, and external. How those things are working, and which is the fastest way to get CSS on the board? Okay, that's the silly questions about it, but let's move forward. Let's understand the inline CSS. What exactly the inline CSS is going to be do? It just inline it. Okay, the CSS you can go for, like you wanted to colorize your text, like, hi, I'm Sanket, and you wanted to colorize that particular text. In that case, in the tag where we discuss about h1 tag, inside h1 tag you will see that style is color. So this style is like a variable, and inside in double quotes or single quotes you can perform the code like a color is red. Okay, now it is different, but yeah, you can just perform the operations like that. So this inside a tag, if you decide to insert a style inside a tag, it is called as inline CSS style. Okay, you can just put inline CSS, and a couple of ways we can do CSS, and that's the one way to do that. But unfortunately, if you do inline CSS at create a web page, which is a big and gigantic web page, you know what the problem it is? You can't read it clearly, right? You just, hey, what this h1 inside a style, and the color is red is not the only one property that you're going to be applied. You are using a lot more properties inside the CSS, and that's where the problem will start inside inline CSS. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is that I will put another option. What is that? Which is internal CSS. Now how these internal CSS are actually working? Inside your HTML file, if you put a tag called as style and you close the style, it will be put your code like this. So to use an internal CSS, we can put those tags into the head or body or outside the CSS. You don't need to worry too much about it. Okay, it just work properly, but you need to put this tag inside that particular HTML file and it will work influently. But at the end of the day, I know that you might be thinking like, what if the CSS property all goes along? Like if we increase the size, increase the properties, increase so many things, how are we gonna put all the things inside of one particular file? And that's the really good question about it, right? Okay, now that's the problem, right? We need to decide that, hey, where is my CSS and where is my HTML? How this performing good? So for that reason, I want to go for another option, which is external CSS. Now, what exactly the external CSS does? Okay, it will just create another file. Okay, inside HTML, you are putting just your tags, and now you are creating a different file which is named as a style.css. Where, okay, this name can be different in your cases, but there are a lot of developers who like to put this name. Okay, and I personally think that that's the good. So for that reason, external CSS is also working, and to connect our HTML, to connect our CSS file into the HTML, we need to use this link relation style sheet href with the help of file name. Okay, in this option, if you put a style.css into another folder, you need to give a proper path in here. Don't just try to this copy and paste. Your path may be different than this. Now, how are we gonna say that inside the CSS? How are we gonna apply the styles? It's really easy. You don't need to use any tag. You don't need to use any style variable. You don't need to anything. Just put this h1 color in double quotes red. That's it. I don't think it's double quotes, right? I don't know, but I will tell you that. But this is the code that we need to put in style.css, and that's it. Your style are actually going to be applied inside HTML. I hope you like this, right? Now let's do some coding and let's do some practice about it so that we will able to understand how these things are actually works and how we're going to design our web page so that we can achieve something better, something big, something great. Okay, let's catch up in the next one.